Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be my December TBR. I know I said I was going to be doing more book videos. I have just been so super busy. I'm not going to give a list of excuses, but we're back with another book video. I have 17 books to read this month to meet my Goodreads goal, which is never going to happen. And I think I have accepted that, moved on. I was kind of freaking out about it all November, and I just don't need the added stress around the holidays. It's not fun to feel pressured to read an obscene amount of books for like my reading pace, but I do have quite a few books here to share with you. I'm also continuing on with the Pan Those Books series started by They Call Me Lulu. Which is inspired by the panning beauty community, which I'm a part of on my other channel, that I would love for you to check out if you are into that. And that's where we're just tackling our physical TBR, moving those books out if we don't enjoy them. I personally only want to keep highly rated books, like books that I rated highly, on my shelves that I may want to reread, instead of holding on to a whole bunch of books that I didn't really love. So we're going to start there. We're going to choose a book. I did have all my little tags in here, but as you can see, I have a helper who just dumped them all in my lap. So I'm going to ask him to pick one that he wants me to read. He obviously can't read what the note says. He's only 2, and then I will go get that book and try and read that in December. Can you pick one of those papers for me? Why, can you put one in this hand? Okay, I got 2. That's okay. What's this pink one? That mean I get to choose? Okay, the pink and green ones are typically authors, either my favorite authors that I don't necessarily own any books from. I get a lot of my books from the library, as you'll see if you're new here, or my top unread authors that I really do want to read from. So this pink one says Kendara Blake. So I will be requesting a book by her from my library. It's going to be the 3 Dark Crowns series, I believe. And I won't get it in time for December probably, so I'll talk more about this book in my January TBR most likely. I also wanted to say I'm doing the magical readathon, the winter one, this month, and I'm just doing it like going through the story. G did such a beautiful job on that web page, and every time a reading prompt comes up, I'm just going to read a book that fits that. I'm not going to stress about my TBR. But the yellow piece of paper that Wyatt put in my hand is Divergent. So, what, Max, do you want a job? What? Can you get a book for me? What? The whole family's involved in this TBR video. Can you find this title on my bookshelf? It will be on the top shelf. And bring it.
My big bookshelf.
My big bookshelf, not yours. Okay, while Max has gone off to find Divergent for me, I'm trying to pick up, you know, the hundreds of pieces of paper on my lap. Let's talk about the 4, I'm in the middle of 5 books right now. I don't really know how that happened. The first is Daisy Jones and the Six. I'm going to pop it up because I was listening to it on audio. I wasn't paying attention to the deadline, and then it was just disappeared off of my app. I get my audiobooks from the library as well, and I read 7 out of 9 hours of that audiobook. I'm really enjoying it. It's very much sex, drugs, and rock and roll. There's a lot of trigger warnings, and Taylor Jenkins Reid does a really great job at making her characters feel real. As you're listening or reading it, Daisy Jones and the Six feels like real people, a real band, and I was really enjoying it, and now I'm number 94 on the wait list again, so that's probably not going to happen this month either. The other 4 books I'm currently in the middle of, I do have here in front of me. The first is The Christmas Saurus by Tom Fletcher, and we are reading this as a family, and this is for my first prompt that I got for the Winter Magical Readathon, which was the last book you acquired or received or bought. And this was the last one. I got it from the library, and it's perfect for this time of year. I'm reading it aloud to the kids. We're only on page 59 right now, and they seem to be really loving it. It's super cute. The illustrations are amazing. So far, it is about this boy named William Trundle, and him and his dad are not very well off. It's just him and his dad. His mother has passed away, and he asks for a real dinosaur for Christmas. He's obsessed with dinosaurs, and so far we have been in the North Pole with Santa Claus, and how the elves create the toys and stuff is just very different and unique, and it's a lot of fun, and I'm enjoying this as well, even though this is a I shouldn't say even though, this is a middle grade. I'm enjoying this, and I'm an adult. I'm reading this to my kids, and they're also loving this too. So if you have the opportunity to read this month as well, then I think you would really like it. Max did find Divergent by Veronica Roth. This is obviously a YA dystopian novel. I have watched the movie and I really liked it. I only watched the first one because I realized I actually want to read the books before continuing on with the movies, and I bought the book for $5 secondhand and never read it. So this is my final kick in the butt to read this as part of my Pan Those Books series. I'm also in the middle of #Girlboss by Sophia Amoruso. I'm trying to read more nonfiction books, especially ones about female entrepreneurs, because I do have my own business, which I don't really talk about on social media all that much, but I am a virtual assistant. I freelance, and reading books like this about other inspiring female entrepreneurs just lights the fire under my butt and keeps me pushing with my business, even when things are slow, or even if I feel like my plate is full. Women like this push you to keep striving for more, and I've really been enjoying this. Nasty Gal isn't really like my brand or aesthetic, and that's kind of apparent in this book, but I am still really liking it. It's not a complete favorite. I'm definitely like not as badass as Sophia here is, but after finishing this, I want to pick back up the Netflix series. I was watching it and felt kind of the same way, like she was a little too rough around the edges, badass for me, not for me, but like, so I couldn't relate to her as much as maybe intended. But after reading the book and finding more inspiration and motivation in her story, even though it's not anything like my own, I think I'll enjoy the TV series more. What you doing? In my November TBR, I talked about The Rescue by Nicholas Sparks. This was pulled out of my TBR jar here for November for Pan Those Books. I almost said eyeshadows. Nope, books. And I just got around to starting this, so this is still on my TBR, and I will be finishing this first before picking up Divergent. But I did want to continue to pull books off of my physical TBR from this little basket here, even if I didn't get a chance to finish the one I pulled the month before, so it keeps me motivated to move through. This is an adult romance novel about a single mom who has a seemingly autistic son and is rescued by a fireman that never sticks around. So I have just started this one as well. The last book that I'm currently in the middle of is P.S. I Still Love You by Jenny Han. I'm on page 34 of this, and it's just as I expected it would be. I don't love this series, but I don't hate it enough to DNF it, which probably doesn't make that much sense. But this is the second book in the To All the Boys I've Loved Before trilogy, and that really could have been a standalone. The movie was really cute, but it's a fake dating trope, And our main character, Lara Jean, reads very young. Like she's 17, I believe, and she acts like a 13-year-old. I don't know. She's very naive, and not in a cute and endearing way, in a get a grip kind of way. Maybe I'm just too old and cynical for these books. I think that's probably the case, but I'm going to try and finish this second installment. So those are my top priority books, and like I said, I'm doing the magical readathon for the winter. So I have other books out from my library that if a prompt comes up that doesn't fit one of these books that I'm currently in the middle of, then I will be reaching for the other stack of books that I have out. So I have the second volume of Fence out. I can finish these in one sitting. The first one was really cute, and I think it's just like, it just continues on. It didn't really leave on a cliffhanger or anything. It was just like you wish there was another page, and I think the next page is just in here, just how they split it up. It is about these two boys here who are rivals, and they get sent to a private school on a fencing scholarship, and they are mortal enemies right now, but I think it's going to be like an enemies to lovers situation. He's showing you a face mask that I filmed with before this. You have to show the camera. Yeah, now look. See? Does it smell nice?
Yeah.
It smells like flowers.
I like it.
I have Fix Her Up by Tessa Bailey out from my library. This is an adult romance, kind of smut novel, I'm guessing, and I actually don't know too much about this, but I think she falls in love with her contractor, and it's not the healthiest of relationships. I'm not really sure, correct me if I'm wrong, but I've seen Chelsea Darling Reads, is that her channel name? I think she really enjoyed this, as well as I keep seeing it pop up on my Goodreads feed of people that I'm friends with or following have been reading this and giving it pretty high ratings. So when I saw it in my library, I decided to pick it up, and I think this will be I usually like speed through adult romance. I've really been starting to enjoy that genre. I like the more smutty books more than, like, Nicholas Sparks' romance books typically have some sort of tragedy. I usually end up bawling my eyes out. I love them, but though they're both adult romance, they're very different. I also have Girl Wash Your Face by Rachel Hollis out, another nonfiction with a girl boss author. I've been loving Rachel Hollis's Rise podcast that I listen to, as you do with a podcast. I'm sorry, I'm really distracted because I have a toddler upside down in my lap. I don't know what exactly this is about, but I know it's going to be motivational and continue to light that fire under my butt to keep on hustling. And I just like Rachel Hollis as a person. I follow her on Instagram, I follow her on Facebook, and all those places. So I think this is going to be a really quick read. But again, these I just have out from my library. They're not really officially on my TBR unless a prompt calls for that with the Winter Magical Readathon. I also got Nevermore by Jessica Townsend out from the library, another middle grade. I thought that Max would really enjoy reading this with me, as we have been watching the Harry Potter movies and they're a little bit too scary for him still, and so I thought maybe we'll pick up this series before we pick up the Harry Potter series to read together. This is quite the chunky book, and I was planning on picking this up soon, but then when I got the chance to pick up the Christmasaurus from the library, obviously this is more seasonally appropriate, so we're reading that one first, and then hopefully we will get to this one. I have Ruin and Rising by Leigh Bardugo. This is the third book in, I didn't even say anything about this. This is a middle grade fantasy that has been compared to Harry Potter very often. It's about a young girl who when she comes of a certain age, gets accepted to try out for this magical school, and there's lots of adventure and magic and all of that. So I'm really excited to read that. Then I have Ruin and Rising by Leigh Bardugo, the third book in the Grisha trilogy. I read the second book last month with my friend Faith. This book is a Russian-inspired YA fantasy series, and I feel like it hasn't aged that well. It's about a girl who grows up not knowing she has magical abilities, and then she's put into danger, and all of a sudden she's the most powerful one of them all. This is the third book in the series, so obviously I can't really go into details about what this book is about, but that's basically the gist of it. And lastly, I have Saga Volume 2. This is an adult sci-fi graphic novel series, and I read the first one last month and absolutely loved it. There's like, it's intergalactic, they're aliens, it's about a couple who have a baby who are from warring planets, basically. They're like different species of aliens, and they're not supposed to be together. There's a big war going on, people are hunting them down, and it was really exciting. There's like assassins chasing them. It's very gory, very explicit. Like, I know people said like there's mature content in it, and it does say on the back that it's M for mature, but I was like, oh, because it's like bloody and stuff. No, there's aliens getting busy very explicitly, because it's a graphic novel, and I was not expecting that. I was sitting on the couch with my kids reading it, and when I turned the page I was like, oh, okay, mommy's gonna pick up a different book. So those are all of the books on my TBR, unofficially and officially, and I do have 17 books to read before the end of the year if I want to reach my Goodreads goal, but like I said, that's not going to happen. I'm excited to continue on with the Pan Those Books series, because my bookshelf is double stacked on every shelf, which is pretty ridiculous considering most of them I've never read before. So just as the prompts come up for the Magical Readathon, I'm just going to continue reading, obviously. The first book was the most recently acquired, which was the Christmasaurus, and we have been really enjoying that as a family. Let me know what you're reading down in the comments below, or if you made a video, I'd love to watch it. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. I'm sorry for the distractions, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!